Hello and welcome to Austral Group's first webinar from Panama. My name is Laura Varela and I'm a program manager for Austral Group. And our guest speaker today is Demóstenes Perez, who's a supply chain business strategist and the general manager of logistics services right here in Panama. Welcome, Demóstenes.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for having me. I'm going to share some great insights about Panama and Panama.
Great. So a brief introduction about Austral Group. We are an education services firm. We organize international study programs through Latin America and the United States. And we specialize in providing seamless logistics and cultural experiences, connecting business students from all over the world with the companies and people who are shaping the business environment across the Americas. So please, if you have any questions for our speaker, type them in the questions window and we'll have a Q&A session at the end of his presentation. So with that said, Demóstenes, take it away.
Thank you again. When we talk about Panama, first need to talk about what is going on with e-commerce and why supply chain is becoming most important for companies. And efficiency and connectivity are those elements that we need to understand clearly to have a very efficient supply chain. So in the case of Latin America, using the Panama platform brings that benefit for companies, and that's the why we are trying to talk about today in this brief presentation. And I mentioned connectivity, and what is the base of that is Panama, of course, is well known for its worldwide maritime connectivity platform, which is support or the backbone is the Panama Canal, of course. And the Panama Canal give us this tremendous benefit of connecting the Pacific side with the Atlantic side in a very short time frame. And having the canal here, we have all the services, maritime services connecting the whole world. People say that over 5% of the world commerce cross through the Panama Canal, and that what that means is that the amount of services, the amount of ships that comes to this very small country on a daily basis offers a huge variety of connections and services, which is something that make this point very unique in the middle of the continent. So with that availability of services and connectivity from the maritime side, then we can talk about the other connectivity elements that make this country so interesting for using it as a platform for Latin America. As I said, beside that huge maritime connectivity, there is also the air connectivity. The Tucumán Airport, mainly led by our local airline, which is called Copa, offers a tremendous offer of connections all over from Toronto to Buenos Aires. On the daily flights, there are over 80 destinations out of Panama. So doing business and connecting people using this the platform give this another advantage of doing business here, because that invites companies to establish regional operations not only for logistics but also for managing business, to utilize Panama as a regional headquarters to operating here, because having that connection and the capability of going the same day to let's say to Colombia, to Argentina, to the US and many destinations, is a huge advantage of staying here, because you can move all over Latin America in a very efficient and fast way. So if you connect people, connectivity or people moving, with cargo moving, and then that brings those two elements that probably make the basis of this. Along that, over seven of the biggest fiber optic cables cross the country due to the taking into consideration that Panama is the narrowest part of the Americas continent. So all those huge fiber optic cables cross the continent and interconnects the region. As you can see in the graph, we have here those telecom connections serve the country on that and as a bridge for connection, and also give a very high level of connectivity service internet-wise. So we offer this to the world, and added to that, we also have the special economic zones. I'm talking about the biggest special economic zone in Panama, and also one of the biggest in the Western Hemisphere, which is called the Colombian Free Trade Zone, that was founded back in 1950. It's a tremendous big operation on the Atlantic side that give us a lot of benefits for bringing cargo from Asia mainly, and then using it as a distribution point. We also have special economic zones in the Pacific side, which is called Panama Pacifico mainly, but there are others. So again, another element that brings Panama a very important platform for services. So with all that said, we need to talk about what is going on. And many companies, even though Latin America is a small market compared with Europe, North America, or Asia, many companies need to do business in Latin America. Outside probably Brazil or Mexico, which has the biggest markets in this continent, companies had to have some presence here, and not always is easy for them, because we are a group of different countries, and they need to have this presence in this region. So why they use it, how they understand how to manage their supply chain in this region, make a very important way to do that. But there are other countries in this region that are trying to also promote themselves as hubs, and that's important to put that in consideration. So if you go shopping, let's say, in the left upper corner, we see Jamaica promoting themselves as a hub for Latin America and for North America. Colombia is also promoting themselves in the Atlantic side and the Pacific side as a hub for Latin America. In the upper right corner, we see Dominican Republic also promoting themselves as a hub for Latin America. And in the map you see below are these countries marked here, including Costa Rica, that recently opened a port in the Atlantic side. The reason I mention this is because there is a lot of noise or where to locate a distribution center or a distribution platform for the region. And of course, having ports in those countries make attractive, even though if you consider that some of the markets are bigger or smaller, that could be interesting. But at the end, we at the beginning, we mentioned about connectivity and availability of services. So there is no country in the whole continent that have what we see in this graph, which is mainly that huge connectivity, the amount of services I mentioned, but and with all the assets I mentioned, talking about maritime services, air services, and the free zones and the connectivity. So that makes a very, very important difference on how we need to, or why we need to take into consideration a place to establish a hub. So the reality is that these countries are not a real competition for the logistics hub. Some countries, of course, like Colombia, is a huge producer, or they have an important market, which is really, really big compared to Panama. They have, of course, a big volume of containers coming in, coming out. Same case Costa Rica, which is another productive country, but they do not do regional distribution and international sales and trade. So that makes a very, very important difference when we take into consideration where to establish a hub or where not. Okay, so in the race of establishing or getting the real business of a logistics hub, there is no question about why Panama is the winner. And beside all those connectivity and logistics assets I mentioned that we will talk about a little further, we also need to take into consideration that all the transactions done in this country are done in US dollars. Why? Because since 1904, the US dollar is our legal currency in the country. So there is no other way to do transactions. So again, for having an inventory or an operation in a safe place without taking the risk of having different variations of currencies and all that, that's another important benefit that we have in the hub, let's say, race. And also with the elements that we put into consideration are we compare with other global hubs, and this is why we believe that in Latin America there is no other competitor like Panama for offering services and benefits for companies, even though there are big companies or small companies, it works for all of them. And we will talk about that a little later. So as I mentioned, these are some of the assets I mentioned. We see in the upper center, of course, the Panama Canal. Once it was expanded, as you all may know, the volume of cargo moving into the new Panamax ships have been increasing. Of course, this is a huge revenue generator for the country, and it's one of the main components of our economy as in terms of revenue generation. But if we going from the upper left picture, we see a picture of Panama Pacifico, one of the warehouses there. It's a well-known multinational that operates in manufacturing there. We can see below the Tucumán Airport, just as a sample of it, and how that hub, connectivity air hub works. There is also cargo services offer for moving cargo, and that is growing. We still have a lot of opportunities to grow on air services and air cargo services that will be we'll talk about a little later. And we can see pictures of the main ports in Panama. In the Pacific side, we have two ports. One is Balboa, and the other is PSA. PSA is operated by Port of Singapore Authority, and Balboa is operated by Hutchinson. And those are the entrance on the Pacific side. And on the Atlantic side, we have three major ports. One is called Cristobal, operated also by Hutchinson. We have other called Manzanillo International Terminal, which is operated by SSA Marine, a US-based company. And we have CCT, which is operated by Evergreen. And there is another port, it's a fourth port in construction right now, which is built by a company called Shanghai Gorgeous. And all these components, port components will makes Panama right now the #1 country in transshipments and throughput containers in Latin America. So that's a very big number. We are moving over 7 million containers per year, and we need to take into consideration that we are a 4 million people country. So we move more containers than people in this country. That makes a very important case on how to understand how important logistics is for this place. So we also have, of course, a common border with Costa Rica. where we can send ground services from Panama all over to Mexico. But the main, let's say, route use is from Panama to Guatemala. So we can serve also by road all Central America. So that is another connectivity and service availability point that makes this country so interesting for establishing hub services. So typically, in talking about distribution centers, there are many services, of course, we can perform as a country. Being located so close to the ports give us a very big advantage of having high cutoff times, and also offering our customers very short windows for service, so there is no too long waits in when we receive an order. We close the container, then we ship to the port because we are so close. Actually, we are just crossing the street or a very few miles from the port. So there's a very important advantage in terms of reducing cost on drayage, and also that's a very important reduction of risk possibilities, because the time and the distance that the cargo is using is very short. So the possibility of having a risk issue is very low. So that it's a very important thing that we need to take into consideration when you move regional inventories and regional products for the region. So services go from basic freight forwarding services to very complex services like manufacturing, light assembly, a lot of value-add services we need to offer to our customers, because using Panama as a hub basically is or our customers needs to us to give some special flavor, if you want, to products to be able to cross non-tariff barriers in the destination countries. So this is very important part of what we offer in here. So it's not only moving boxes or pallets. We need to took those pallets out of the container. We need to broke those pallets. We need to open those boxes. We need to touch the edges. We need to add a label. We need to create a new package. We need to add some information depending on the country it's going, which could be a country that is Spanish-speaking country, or English-speaking country, or French-speaking country. So we need to add or tailor that product to be able to be sold in those markets. And this is the kind of a service request we get from our multinational customers on a daily basis. Even if there is a new service or marketing strategy or a sale or something, a retailer, distributor, or a customer ask to these companies, we need to take the product, we need to customize that order to fulfill the customer need. So at the end, all these components, what those are having a product the closest possible to the customer and deliver in the way and the time the customer wants. That's the name of the game. In today's mainly supply chain challenges we see are those based on customer satisfaction and deliver that product in the short term possible, in the most safe way possible, in the secure and, of course, more efficient way possible. And that's why we become, as a country, a very interesting place to do that. And just as example, the picture we can see here is one of the biggest mining trucks that we can get in the market today, the world market today. Well, this picture here basically was a truck that arrives into Panama in the color-free zone, where a company that offer logistics and value-add services for this company receive this truck in parts from different origins. And that truck, along with other 7 like this, were 100% assembled here. And why? Because they are too big to be on top of a ship, and they came all over from Europe. And once those trucks were assembled here, they were sent to a mining site, which is located far from the any logistics platform. Were sent in a special kind of ship to take those trucks, but the distance was, of course, never even closer, moving those containers all over from Europe into Panama. So why I put this is because this kind of examples applies for a huge mining truck or for a small smartphone. Is the same. That's why we say that Panama is a one-size-fits-all logistic solution, because it works the same for pharmaceuticals, work the same for electronics, work the same for high-tech products, work the same for clothing and apparel products, or mining trucks, or whatever product you may imagine. You can use the benefit of having a hub like this with the capability of receiving products or elements from all over the world, and just here make the final assembly or customization and then send to the final customer, giving a lot of value to the owner of the product, because you don't have to have the inventory. Maybe the product could be assembled in a different way or added different elements. It will create a new product. Instead of bringing that from the manufacturing plant, it could be in Europe, in Asia, or in any other place in the world. So you can have that a service very close to the final market. So this is one of the beauties of using this country as your logistic platform for Latin America. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are right now looking forward having this new project, which is a free zone that is located just beside the runway of the Tocumen International Airport. This will be a great new asset that our country will offer to the world commerce, because having a warehouse or a set of warehouses at the end of the runway will give us the capability of offering better cut-off times for e-commerce products or for pharmaceutical products, cold chain and all that, and also for urgent spare parts. We also see this a huge opportunity for additive logistics services, which is very new for all of us, but it's something that we believe that will be growing in this area very soon. Because again, we can receive an order by email or by EDI or API or whatever, and we can build the product, we can print the product and ship it right away to a country or a destination which is located in less than 24 hours, being at the airport, capable to connecting a flight that probably is leaving a few hours after we receive the order. So we have a lot of expectation about this project, and this is right now in process. Right now, all the works started. They are moving dirt and preparing the area for the final design, and this will be again added to what we call the logistics assets of Panama. So this, together with the other special economic zones, the ports, the passengers, the benefit for multinational companies establishing here, and also the finance and the legal sector that we are very well developed, make this place as ideal country to establish regional operations and regional distribution centers. I don't know, how about our timing right now? Yep. Okay. So we will. I see we had some questions right now. I don't know if the Austral team will start asking to that. Okay.
I have a question from Linda from Bowling Green University, and she would like to know, now with the new canal that was built alongside the old canal, how has this changed the economy of Panama and the business environment in our nation?
The The expansion of the canal, of course, have a huge impact on the local economy, because having those new ships coming added a more income to the canal. And you know, the canal is a government institution. So an important part of the revenues of the canal are diverted to the country. Actually, last year was 1.6 something billion that those are going into our national economy. So as you can imagine, those numbers or those funds help a lot on the local economy for government purposes and investments.
Great. Thank you, Demosthenes. We have Juan from Argentina who would like to know what business sectors are the ones that benefit the most using Panama as their supply chain hub, and who are our biggest client nowadays for logistics services.
Well, we can talk about industries. For example, pharmaceutical sector is very, very big. Just to mention that probably 7 from the top 10 global pharmaceutical companies of the world has regional distribution centers in Panama, getting value-add services, not only for, as I said, regular product, but also for cold chain, vaccines, and this kind of product. So pharmaceutical, the pharma industry is very big. High tech is growing really, really fast, especially after the situation that we had in the U.S. with the new tariff increase. A lot of those big distributors, because of the high tech industry so fast moving, and of course the cost is very thin, and these companies are fighting with very low margins. Having Panama as an option without charging those new tariffs brings a new platform for doing business in the region. So some companies have moved into here, and they gain a lot of market share because of that movement. So again, telecom and high tech is using a lot the Panama hub. All the big brands of sport shoes, the Nikes, the Adidas, the New Balances, Under Armour, all those are here doing regional distribution from Panama to Latin America. Apparel is very big. The Free Zone historically have been a important hub for apparel. The main brands, let's say, are using this area. I should say probably which sector is not using the hub, and probably it could be the CPG. The CPG industry is probably the less that used the Panama platform, because CPG, as we all know, having those big volumes of consumption, they have enough product to send containers direct to the destinations. So, but mainly the other industries are using somehow the Panama hub.
Well, thank you, Demosthenes. Thank you for your time. I think we could go on for a long time with this great conversation, but unfortunately our time is up. So I want to thank you for your time to share your knowledge and your expertise with us, and to all of our guests then for participating, and I hope you have enjoyed it. Goodbye.